Hello，你好，欢迎回来，Welcome back to Wisdom Wednesday with Johnny Tiger. The date is October 21st, 2020. Today we are going to continue our little series on Chinese religious bloopers and funny stories, notes of interest. And today I'm going to tell you about the original Chinese Ghostbuster. Yeah, in Chinese religion, especially this is from the Taoist religion. Even today, if you had some evil spirit that haunting your house, or if you run into some really bad misfortunes, and you suspect that there's some demons or evil spirits plaguing you, a lot of people in China, in Hong Kong, in Taiwan still will go into a temple and hire a monk or a Taoist uh, exorcist, and pay them a bunch of money for them to come and deal with the evil spirit. When when the Buddhist monk come to deal with evil spirit, generally they will invoke the Guanyin Buddha or the Dijon Buddha, Guanyin Buddha, because he is all about mercy and uh, trying to be diplomatic, and hopefully he will be able to make the evil spirit feel not so evil, not so bad, and make them go away automatically. Now, the Dijon Buddha is the one that's in charge of the gates of hell. So that particular Buddha is basically the ghost police in the Buddhist religion. So if you invoke the Dijon Buddha, there's no nicety, no more being diplomatic. Dijon Buddha come and drag the evil spirit kicking and screaming back into hell and lock it away. Now those are very straightforward. As far as the Taoist religion go, there's a lot of gods and goddesses they might try to invoke, but the most notorious, the most famous, the most popular, and the original uh, person that the Taoist exorcist will try to invoke, the granddaddy of all the Ghostbusters, the granddaddy of ghost police, is Zhang Tianshi, although in English it's basically Heavenly Master John. So just to make the rest of this easier, I'm just going to uh, uh, call him Masterjohn to make it flow better. But basically, Zhang Tianshi is what we call him in Mandarin. Zhang is the last name, John, and then Tianshi means heavenly master. The legend of Master John go back thousands and thousands and thousands of years. It is said that every 100 years, every 100 years, Master John will reincarnate and come into the mortal world again. So Master John is not one person. You can say Master John is uh, like a rank. It's a position. It's always going to be someone in the John family, and it's always going to be the direct descendant of the original Master John. But as we go through the ages, there has been hundreds of Master John coming and going. One thing that never changed is every 100 years a new Master John would be born, and this Master John was in this world, came into this world for one exclusive purpose, which was to travel the world and try to deal with evil spirits and ghosts and demonic infestation and trying to uh, navigate, trying to nullify misfortunes whenever he went. And yes, it's always a he. It's a little bit of a sexist situation. Uh, if you want to backtrace it, you can still find a Masterjohn today, or at least there is someone who claims he is the current Masterjohn, and they're making a lot of money by traveling the world, blessing different businesses, and sorting out different misfortunes and stuff like that. Believe it or not, that's up to you, but there are a lot of people who believe in Master John enough to continue to pay for his services. Where did this all start? That's one of the things we're going to talk about today. We're going to, I'm going to tell you two interesting stories, background about Master John. One is his origin, and one is why is there no Masterjohn temple anywhere? You would think now this is the granddaddy of all the Ghostbusters, ghost police, and ghost slayers. He is the highest ranking person when it comes to dealing with evil spirits. You would think he has his own temple where people could go and pray to him and stuff like that. But no, there's not a single Master John temple anywhere in the world. Why is that? We're going to get to that in a little bit. The story goes that the original Master John, the first Master John, was born about 5,000 years ago in a remote village in China. Back then, in this remote village, there was an old couple, and of course, it was John and his wife. They were in their 50s. Not very old considering today's age, but considering people's age back then, that's really old. John was a carpenter, and his wife uh, basically washed clothes and sew and knit for people. And they were not very wealthy, but they made enough money to make a good living. The only regret they had was they didn't have any children. One day, in the middle of the night, Mr. John, not Master John at this point, Mr. John went out in the yard to make sure that everything was locked down, that they had everything put away before they went to bed. And he saw in the distance, in the middle of the night, in this dark, dark night, there was a very bright beam of light in the distance. Curious, he said to his wife, I'm going to go take a look. And his wife tried to tell him not to go, but he went anyway. He was curious. He said, why is there a beam of light in the middle of nowhere? He followed that beam of light, and eventually, after walking for almost a mile, after leaving the village, Mr. John came to a big hole in the ground. A big hole, like someone just dug it out, dug a big hole in the ground. It was really fresh looking. And in the at the bottom of this hole was a spanking new lantern. Not just any old lantern either. This was like really, really nice lantern, like the kind of thing that only wealthy people could afford to use. Hey, look at this nice lantern, Mr. John said, and then he climbed down into the hole to retrieve that lantern. He decided that, hey, at least he can take this home and they can definitely use a new lantern, and this is such a nice lantern, he might be able to sell it for some money. Unfortunately for Mr. John, the moment he climbed down into the hole to retrieve the lantern, the ground closed up over him and buried him alive. What happened there? Well, to understand what took place, why did Mr. John get buried alive? Why was there a lantern in a big hole in the middle of nowhere in the forest? We have to backtrack a little bit. In the village next to the one John lived in, there was a very, very, very rich guy. Now, this rich guy was coming to the end of his life. So he didn't want all his wealth, all his great connection, and his great influence to go to waste after he died. He wanted to make sure that his son and his grandson and the son of his grandson and so on and so on, he wanted to ensure that all the generations after him could be as rich and powerful and influential as he was. So he hired a fortune teller. He asked this fortune teller to show him the place that if he died, after he died, his kids could bury him there. Chinese people believe that where you bury your dead make a big difference. If you bury your dead in a powerful part of the earth, then all your family will be rich and famous. But if you bury your ancestor or your parent in a piece of land that is cursed, then the rest of the generation is going to be cursed as well. The fortune teller walked around the forest for a few days, and then he came back to this rich guy, and he said, I found the perfect place. I found the perfect place. There's a place here that once upon a time was where a dragon laid his eggs. So if you get buried there, your descendants not only will they be wealthy and powerful, they will be godly and special. But here's the thing. Right now, you can't disturb that piece of land. It will only show itself on the day you die. That is how this magic works. So you need to tell your children on the day you die, tell them to go into the forest with lanterns in their hand. And if they find a big hole in the ground, that is the spot. And tell them to drop a lantern down there and then come back to get your corpse and then go back to where they marked the land with a lantern. Drop your corpse in there. They wouldn't have to do anything. The minute they drop your corpse in, the earth will close up, you will be buried, and your descendants will be powerful for eternity. So, a few years later, this rich guy died, and his kids, uh, having listened to what he told them, went into the forest. And indeed, they saw a big hole in the ground. They threw a lantern in there and went back to get his corpse, not knowing that John from the neighboring village saw the light from the lantern and came out to investigate. And John climbed down into the hole. Now, as far as magic went, this magic didn't care who it buried. If it was a corpse, that's fine. But whoever that got into the hole, the earth was going to bury him. So John got buried alive. And when the kids of the rich guy came back with the coffin and the body, the hole was gone. The lantern was gone. There was not a single mark in the ground. Well, we're going to leave them aside because that's as much as they were going to matter in this story. We'll go back to John's wife. John never returned, and his wife was very sad. She thought that he went to the forest in the middle of the night and got killed by wild animal and eaten or something. But what was very incredible was a few months after John disappeared into the forest, after he was buried alive in that magical hole in the ground, John's wife was pregnant. This 50-year-old old lady, back then, by the standard then, she was really old, was pregnant. And she gave birth to the first ever Masterjohn. True to the fortune teller's word, whoever got buried in that hole, their descendants, not only were they powerful, rich, smart, intelligent, wise, kind, they were also godly. They had godly power. Every 100 years, a new Masterjohn would come into this world. And in addition to being extremely kind, extremely smart, extremely intelligent, they are said to be blessed by the authority of the Jade Emperor to be able to deal with any demonic infestation, any evil spirit. They basically have dominion over any kind of bad things, any spooks, any demons, any spirits, any zombies, mummies, skeletons, anything you can name that's evil. It's all within the dominion of Master John. He can deal with any of those. Master John, you can say, was China's first superhuman. Uh, in addition to being able to see evil spirits, he could instantly determine what kind of evil spirit they were, what were their strengths and weaknesses, what did he need to use to defeat them or to nullify their power, and he could even see for a limited extent into their future and their past. They can tell you what this evil spirit has done in the past few years. He can tell you if he doesn't deal with them, what will they do in the next few years. So that is the origin of this incredible legendary figure that is half fictitious, half true. Fictitious because, well, unless you are a Taoist, you most likely don't believe that there is really someone out there that can do all this and deal with all the evil spirits and stuff like that. Half true because even today, there is still one single Masterjohn that there over there in China. He is highly worshipped, highly revered, uh, and after him, there's going to be another one, just like there has been Master John for the past 4 or 5 thousand years. So, if you want to say he is totally fake, well, how can he be totally fake and still be able to do this for thousands and thousands of years? How come no one's debunked him? And you want to say he's true? Well, then uh, how is that scientific? So, believe it or not, it's all up to you. I'm just here to tell you about this legendary figure that actually does exist even today. Now, it was said that once upon a time, because Master John was so influential and so important in keeping people safe from evil spirits, there were Master John temples everywhere in China. But somewhere along the line, around the Song Dynasty, so about 800 years, or actually about 1600 years ago. Yeah, my math is a little bit wacky. About 1600 years ago, give or take, suddenly all the Masterjohn temple vanished. And from then on, the only place you can find Master John's statue or depiction is in the temple of the fire god, Murong. Um, why did that happen? What happened there? Like, how come all the Master John temple suddenly went missing? And why is he sharing a temple with the fire god Murong? Here is a little story. It was said that during the Song Dynasty, the Imperial nobles were so corrupt, and people in the imperial city, the capital city, were so corrupt and greedy and lustful that they royally pissed off the Jade Emperor. So the Jade Emperor called the fire god Muran to him, and he said, Muran, these people, they have lost their faith in us. They have lost their godly way. They have lost their faith. Look at them. They're greedy. They fornicate all the time. And they commit murder and rape and so on and so on. We need to teach them a lesson so they know that we are still God. We're still here to judge them. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to burn down the entire Imperial city. We got to teach these guys a lesson. Burn down their Imperial city, burn down their capital, so people will learn that there is consequences to their action. The fire god Muran then left the Jade Palace and came back to the mortal world on his way to carry out his mission. Halfway there, he ran into Heavenly Masterjohn, or at least the Masterjohn of that generation. The Masterjohn asked the fire god Muran. He said, hey man, where are you going? What's up? You look like you got something on your mind. What's up? The fire god Muran saying, I don't have time to chat. I got an important mission from the Jade Emperor. The Jade Emperor told me to go burn down these mortals' capital city because they have lost their faith in God, and we need to teach them a lesson. Master Jean thought that was kind of extreme. I mean, come on, there got to be a better way of showing people that we are to be worshipped. There got to be better way of helping people. You shouldn't intimidate them. You shouldn't burn down their home. So Master John said to Mulan, you know, it takes a lot of magic to burn down an entire city. I understand that you haven't been feeling 100% yourself lately. So how about this? I'll do it for you. Well, the fire god Mulan said, well, that's great. Hey, hey, if you would do that for me, that's awesome. You're right. It takes a lot of power to burn down an entire city. And you're right. I haven't been feeling too good lately. So if you can do me this favor, so we can let the Jade Emperor know it's done, it'll be awesome. So Master John told Fire God Muran, he said, I want you to go back to your palace and in 3 days' time, look down at the mortal world from your palace. and you will see smoke and flame engulfing the capital city. Alright? When you see that, then you know I carried out my mission, and you can go report in to the Jade Emperor. So the fire god Muron went back to his palace to wait, and Masterjohn went into the Imperial city and went to see the Emperor. He said to the Emperor, "Look, you guys have messed up. You've been uh, fornicating, murdering, raping, trying to increase taxes, and people. You have brought punishment upon yourself, and I'm here to save you. In 3 days' time, I want everyone in the city to light firework. I want every household to make smoke come out of their chimneys. I want every household to use their fireplace. I want as much flame and smoke over the city as you can manage without burning down your home, of course. If you do what I say and then you change your way, I can save you from this one punishment. But if you do not change your way afterward, then I'm sorry, I won't be able to save you a second time." 3 days later, the Imperial city was engulfed in smoke and flame as everyone in the Imperial city lit firework and built up the fire in their fireplace, and there's plumes and pillars of smoke coming out of their chimneys. And the fire god Muron looked down from his palace at the mortal world and he said, "Oh man, this Masterjohn really knows his stuff. Look, this is such beautiful fire. He really burned the heck out of these people. That's awesome." So he went back to see the Jade Emperor, and the Jade Emperor was very angry. The Jade Emperor said, "You got tricked. They didn't, he didn't burn down their city. All that smoke, all that fire you're looking at, that's wood smoke. That's firework. You failed your mission." Fire God Muran said, "Well, okay, how about I go do it now? How about I go?" And the Jade Emperor said, "No, you can't. Here in the heavenly court, we can't attempt things twice. If we sentence someone to die, and they somehow survived the first attempt, we have to let them go, because God cannot have the leisure of changing things around and having second chances. What we say have to matter on the first go. So just because you failed your mission, now we can't punish them again unless they do something bad." Just like that, Master John saved the people, millions of people in the capital city. But because the fire god Muron was so pissed off at Master John, he decided that for his revenge, he was going to burn down every single Masterjohn temple in the world. So it was said in one night, one single night, all the temples that belong to Masterjohn in the world simultaneously combusted and burned to ashes. Well, Masterjohn was kind of easygoing, so he decided, "That's okay. You burned down my home, I'm going to move into yours." So when Fire God Mulan went back to his own palace, he found Master John sleeping on his doorstep, camping out on his doorstep. Master John said, "Well, I tricked you, so you burned down my home, so now I'm going to move in with you. What are you going to do about it?" Now, this is the most badass Ghostbuster, like the one person who had authority to go after any evil spirit. So obviously the fire god Muron couldn't really do anything to him. He couldn't beat him up. He couldn't throw him out. So he had to just let Masterjohn move in with him. And that is why, even now, the only place you're going to find a statue of Masterjohn is in the temple of the fire god. Thank you for checking out today's Wisdom Wednesday. We'll be back again tomorrow for Toy Thursday. For now, have a good night.